My sister is blowing up my phone trying to keep my mouth shut. She's calling, texting, even trying to FaceTime me at weird hours. Yesterday she sent me 12 messages in a row, all caps, begging me not to say anything. The thing is, she messed up bad, and now she wants me to cover for her like we're still kids. It started 3 weeks ago when my sister Whitney moved back in with our parents after her boyfriend kicked her out. She's 24 and has been bouncing between jobs for the last 2 years. Mom and Dad let her move into my old room, which honestly annoyed me because they turned it into a home office after I left for college. Anyway, last Saturday I went over for dinner like I do every weekend. Mom was making her famous lasagna, and Dad was grilling on the back porch. Whitney was supposed to be there too, but she texted saying she was working late at her new job at some marketing company downtown. Everything seemed normal until I went upstairs to grab my old guitar from the closet. That's when I heard voices coming from Whitney's room. I thought maybe she came home early, but when I got closer I realized it was a guy's voice too. They were definitely not just talking. I knocked on the door thinking maybe she brought her ex over to work things out. But when the door opened, it wasn't her ex. It was Dad's business partner, Greg. The same Greg who's been coming to family barbecues for like 10 years. The same Greg who's married with twin daughters. Both of them just stared at me like deer in headlights. Greg was putting his shirt back on and Whitney was wrapped in a bedsheet looking mortified. I didn't say anything, just backed out of there and went straight back downstairs. The rest of dinner was torture. Greg came down 20 minutes later acting like nothing happened, shaking Dad's hand and talking about their next meeting. Mom was asking where Whitney was and I just said she must still be at work. Dad was going on and on about how great it was to have Greg as a business partner, how much he trusted him. After Greg left, Whitney finally came downstairs and joined us for dessert. She kept shooting me these panicked looks across the table, but I pretended everything was fine. Mom was asking about her new job and Whitney was making up stories about her coworkers and daily tasks. That night, Whitney cornered me in the driveway as I was leaving. She grabbed my arm and started begging me not to tell anyone. She said it was a mistake, that it only happened once, that Greg was going through a rough patch with his wife. I told her I needed time to think about it. Since then, she's been blowing up my phone constantly. She's offered to pay my car insurance for 6 months, do my laundry, even give me her Nintendo Switch. Yesterday, she sent me this long voice message crying about how it would destroy Dad's business and Greg's family. The thing is, I keep thinking about Greg's wife, Janet. She's super nice and always remembers my birthday. She brings homemade cookies to every gathering and asks about my classes. Their twin girls are only 8 years old and they worship their dad. But I also can't stop thinking about how this would wreck my dad. His construction business is finally doing well after years of struggling. Greg handles all the paperwork and client relations while Dad does the actual building. Losing Greg would mean Dad probably has to close shop. Then there's Mom, who would absolutely lose her mind if she found out Whitney was hooking up with a married man in their house. Mom's old school Catholic and already thinks Whitney makes too many bad choices. The worst part is Dad keeps talking about promoting Greg to full partner next month. Last night he called me just to vent about how happy he is to finally have someone he can trust completely. He was going on about how Greg is like a brother to him and how grateful he is for their friendship. Whitney's latest strategy is sending me screenshots of Greg's texts to her. He's apparently been telling her he's going to leave his wife soon and that they should run away together. Classic married guy lies. She actually believes him though, which makes this whole thing even messier.